They left rates unchanged, a little more sanguine on their outlook for the labor market. So maybe some lowered cut expectations from here. And Powell showed us how he is very good at swatting down questions and just saying no to them.
I'm simply going to refer you to the statement that I made on January 11, but I'm not going to be getting into that. I have nothing for you on that today. No, and I really, once again, have nothing for you on that today. That either. I don't want to get into this. There's a time and place for these questions, but not something I'm going to be getting into today.
Just swatting down questions.
Yeah, I mean, FOMC, not a lot going on. We actually did get another inflation print. We got the PPI number, which was actually quite a bit above expectations, but it was all coming from the services sector, where the goods component was actually zero in the previous month. Beyond that, though, the big news, Trump has selected Kevin Warsh to nominate to be the next Fed chair. I'm still kind of surprised how it worked. I thought he was going to make a big show of it, but he just issued one of his Truth Social posts. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I know on this show, at least, we've been talking about Kevin Hassett a lot. I personally have been banging that drum a lot, saying it's going to be Hassett. He's a big-time Trump loyalist. The previous round, he picked Powell because he was a more mainstream, market-friendly candidate. But at the same time, most of Trump's cabinet in his first term was also, more mainstream picks. Whereas, this time they're all very close to Trump loyalists. So just to give a little bit of background on the guy, he was actually on the board of governors at the Fed from 2006 to 2011 under George W. Bush. Before that, he was on the National Economic Council under W as well. So he's been around. He's been on the board. He kind of went into the private sector for a little while. He was actually one of the finalists in 2017 as well. So he got pretty close to being chosen then. But he's back now, probably going to be the chair.
Yeah. No, admittedly, everything I know about this most is from you, basically relaying it to me. I don't look up individually what these Fed chairs, who was in the running and what their background was. I will say, though, that I watched, YouTube was sort of pushing different videos for me. And after, you got the announcement that Warsh was going to be the guy, YouTube pushed a video to me of him speaking at in 2025 at the Reagan conference or something like that. So I clicked on it. I was just kind of preparation to record here. I wanted to see what this guy was about. And I didn't watch much, maybe 5 minutes. But a couple things differently stuck with me. One, he got a question. It was, should the Federal Reserve start issuing digital currencies, like the central bank digital currency? And his response was basically, that is un-American. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to like this guy.
The idea of a central bank digital currency works well for the CCP who want a 5-year plan to control their people. I think it's ahistorical and frankly anti-American. This is against the grain of our constitutional republic. I would have to think that Ronald Reagan himself would be outraged by it. And the privacy that in America we take seriously would then be called into question with the central bank policing all these accounts.
So he was like, we are not China. Yeah,
Nice.
I've listened to him speak for maybe literally 4 minutes, but he managed to get that in there.
All you need to know.
It's frankly un-American. That's all you need to know. Yeah. Yeah. He also was very afraid whenever in a scenario, Bear White, if the Federal Reserve did issue its own currency, he was afraid of a scenario whereby Congress would be in a deadlock to do some sort of fiscal thing and then would pressure the Fed into just giving the money somehow to individuals. Because they'd be able to do that, presumably, if they own. Because what it is, the currency, it would almost be like there's a direct link between me, you, individuals, and the Federal Reserve.
Right.
So
whereas today it's just between the Fed and the banks.
Yeah, right. So he described the 2-tier system which we use. It's we interact with the commercial banks and the commercial banks interact with the Fed. Those are the 2 tiers. But with that currency thing, you would have currency that would be tied to the program at the Federal Reserve. He didn't really like that. when you started talking about him being maybe in that camp, I think we often are too focused on the right and left distinction and not enough on the north and south distinction, which I almost think is more important in a way. Certainly Malay. Do you remember that speech? I'm going to make a little bit of a digression here. Do you remember there was a speech a while back Malay gave in front of a bunch of international leaders, and basically said he doesn't really care about left or right. He only cares about the big government, little government classes. That's that's the important distinction. Are you for big government or are you for little government? And that popped into my mind when listening to this guy, because he's definitely a little government guy.
What is this going to mean for financial markets and the economy more broadly? Right after the announcement, financial markets didn't really do too much. The dollar strengthened, but this is in the context of it weakening pretty substantially and pretty sharply over the past almost 2 weeks now. Yield curve was moved a couple of basis points. Stocks fell just by a little bit. So that's generally consistent with maybe on net slightly higher rates than what people would have expected through someone with Hassett. But at the end of the day, it was all pretty muted. It's really not clear right now what his views are. He developed a pretty strong reputation for being very hawkish whenever he was on the board of governors, even going so far as to he was calling for higher rates during the depths of the recession in 2009. So he was very uncomfortable even then with having rates down at zero. So he was saying, we need to hike rates, we need to hike rates. So that he really kind of earned that reputation. So why did Trump pick him? Well, over the past year, he kind of swerved a little bit. He knew he was under consideration, and he came out publicly and, just through speaking events, he wrote op-eds and things like that in favor of lower rates now. Was he just saying he wants lower rates because he knows that's what Trump wanted and that would help his job interview prospects? The primary reason that he gave for that, for wanting lower rates, is this expectation for large productivity growth from AI technologies. So if you increase productivity more than prices increase, you're going to have disinflationary pressures, and you'll be able to tolerate lower rates to stimulate growth even more as long as productivity is high enough. So that's his point of view. That's pretty much the main view over the past year, what everyone's been saying, to lower rates more. It was because the labor market was weakening, but even in the past month, and this is one of the points at the FOMC this week, the labor market's been stabilizing a bit. So it's really that uncertainty, though, that I think could end up being the issue. Because it's one thing if he still did maintain this reputation of constantly wanting higher rates, then in that case, financial markets could be far more sure of themselves. Okay, then we're probably not going to get as many rate cuts, and so we can adjust accordingly. On the other side, again, they would adjust if they knew. But now we're in this kind of intermediate point where we just don't really know.